Right, we are. We're gonna watch Jay Mule's video. Is the guy that with the Boston accent, and this was a video that he released 4 weeks ago. But I kind of wanted to watch it. The reason I'm essentially am looking into this video is because I am curious, like, what in his opinion can 14 learn from World of Warcraft specifically? To be fair, both games can learn from each other quite a bit, but
What can Final Fantasy XIV learn from World of Warcraft? Hello everybody, I am JMalls of JMalls Gaming, and I love MMORPGs. They're my favorite genre, and my two favorite games are Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft. And each game has its own strengths and weaknesses, and while they can't be directly compared to one another because they do focus on fundamentally different things, I think there is a lot both games can learn from each other to make each other better games going into the future.
people have mentioned this specifically before, mainly like how 14 was built looking at World of Warcraft. Like, this argument has come up so many times, but it's like we know that 14 learned from World of Warcraft already, but people keep saying that it needs to learn more. It needs to learn more.
Competition breeds success. And in my mind, the ideal circumstance is that both games, and possibly even others, act as competition for each other to make them strive to be better and better. So in this little mini-series, this two-part series, I want to talk about what each game can learn from each other. In a future video, I'll cover what World of Warcraft can learn from Final Fantasy XIV, and in today's video, what Final Fantasy XIV can learn from World of Warcraft. I do think a shakeup is in order for Final Fantasy XIV, as we've talked about in a recent video, and I think that shakeup largely can come from non-rating content.
Shake up. What do people mean by shake up? It's like we get, at least to an extent, some new content every expansion. Like, outside of the standard, but like the term shake up is like very loose. It's very widely spread. It's hard to pinpoint what the fuck do people mean by shake up. I mean, I guess he could essentially be talking specifically about, stepping outside the comfort zone, playing a bit more risky, but let's see what he has in mind.
I don't want to use terminology like casual, midcore, hardcore, because the boundaries for what constitutes that specific type of content are arbitrary and blurry at best.
What? No. Not in 14. Wait, hold on. Wait, that doesn't work. Okay, in World of Warcraft that kind of works, because fucking, like, for example, Mythic Plus keys, those are, you can casually do from 1 to 5, or you can do a bit more hardcore from 10 to 15, but then the balancing will change. And the more casual keys are going to be from 5 to 10, and the more hardcore ones are going to be like 15 to 20. Like, this shit has happened. Like, this shit has happened since Legion, unfortunately. But, like, in 14, it's like casual, midcore, and ultimate content is, like, very fucking distinct. I don't know how blurry is the line that you're looking at, but you're going to need some glasses here, man.
But I think where Final Fantasy XIV largely struggles comes from its non-rating content. From its storytelling being largely just cutscenes shotgun to the player back to back to back, to dungeons that all feel formulaic and far too rigid in their overall design, despite.
So we're basically, like, cutting out old hardcore or midcore content and just focusing on casual? Wait, hold on. Are we literally just talking about story and dungeons right now? Wait, hold on. Let me hear that again. Maybe I'm wrong.
From its storytelling being largely just cutscenes shotgun to the player back to back to back, to dungeons that all feel formulaic.
Okay, cutscenes already don't agree. It's like we literally have interactive scenes. We've had them since, well, they started like at tail end of Shadowbringers, but we had them quite a number of things. But like, how else are you gonna tell a story in that MMO? Dialogue and cutscenes. Like, what else are we expecting? Like, they're already trying to kind of improve that by some specific, role play of, characters. Like, for example, in Endwalker, we had to play as Alize or Zero in certain cutscenes. They're already kind of trying to improve on that, but it's like, wait, what was he saying about dungeons?
Actually struggles comes from its non-rating content. From its storytelling being largely just cutscenes shotgun to the player back to back to back, to dungeons that all feel formulaic and far too.
What do you mean formulaic? Does he just mean like trash bag, boss, trash bag, boss? Does he mean this, or like how formulaic does it mean that?
Far too rigid in their overall design, despite in Dawntrail, in my opinion, having actually interesting bosses and some absolutely beautiful visuals.
Or did he just walk up to that boss and hit him instead of just doing a ranged attack?
To dungeons that all feel formulaic and far too rigid in their overall design, despite in Dawntrail, in my opinion, having actually interesting bosses and some absolutely beautiful visuals. And quite frankly, the non-rating content in Final Fantasy XIV just feeling largely stale and kind of bland.
What is the non-rating content? I guess we're literally talking about the casual content, but like, what is the non-rating content? Like the golden saucer? The market board? Crafting? Role-playing? Housing? Seasonal events that happen at least once a month? I'm not entirely sure what he's talking about. Does he want like a casual raid? Normal raids? Trials? Yeah, actually, yeah, non-rating. Like, what the fuck does he mean? Criterion. Technically, that's rating, because you fight bosses there, I guess. What? Okay, we're barely 2 minutes in. I already have questions. Criterion is hard. Well, Criterion it is, yeah, but like the normal difficulty of that isn't. It's like but it's still a dungeon where you have to fight bosses. It's like I don't think it counts as a non-rating content, does it? Okay, I'm 2 minutes in. I already have so many questions. Let's let him finish the introduction to the video.
You can only do so many fates until they all start.
Okay, wait, hold on. He's talking about like non-rating content in 14, but we're comparing this to World of Warcraft. There's literally no other content but rating in there. Like, wait, what? Wait, wait, dude. What are we talking about? Island Sanctuary? That's actually true. The more I think about it, there's actually more fucking casual content in the game right now than rating like types of content. There's more types of casual content for the casual player than there is for a raider, because raiders essentially just get the same shit, don't we? Even Alliance raid, it's technically a raid, but it's like it's technically just a really really big dungeon.
To blur into each other. You can only go on so many hunt trains that while they do look cool initially when you have everyone in one giant organized blob, it is cool for a few times admittedly, but then it just feels like a production line and so artificial and just bland.
Wait, what is this judgment of hunt trains? It's a community driven event. It's like it's not really a game feature. It's just people literally just gathering to do some world bosses. They do that in World of Warcraft too. They literally do that in World of Warcraft. What do you mean?
Without interesting gameplay to really back the experience. The same logic applies to Fates. They all just feel like mindless fill-the-bar quests that World of Warcraft was funnily enough plagued with for the longest time, and still is to some degree. What this largely amounts to is the world of Final Fantasy XIV not being populated by interesting things to do in it. And for an MMORPG, a game that you are supposed to become enthralled and engaged with this world on a continuous basis, Final Fantasy XIV succeeds in doing that through its storytelling and its overall MSQ. But outside of that, it doesn't have much to really go on.
I feel like, hold on, is the raid ready? I'm very confused. He's currently just talking a lot of shit, but like, I know World of Warcraft. I literally like played it recently too. I literally just came back to World of Warcraft for a bit recently. I played retail and I played the Kata as well. It's like I'm not entirely sure where is he driving these points. Like if this is specifically learning from a World of Warcraft kind of video. The introduction to the video is kind of very weak right now because it just sounds like he just doesn't do anything else in this game. He hasn't unlocked a lot of blue quests. Like my suggestion is you need to unlock some blue quests. You need to find and unlock some blue quests, man. There's a whole island waiting for you.
On besides some pretty visuals. And I do want to make this clear. I don't think World of Warcraft is perfect in this design area either, but I do think it's a heck of a lot better than how Final Fantasy XIV tackles it. And I think the way World of Warcraft tackles it is rather interesting, because when you break it down to its basic components, it's elements that already exist in Final Fantasy XIV. A lot of the world quests that I think are rather okay that exist in World of Warcraft are pretty much analogous to Fate. It's just the things you do there don't all just feel as if you're filling a bar. Some of them do, some of them are fill the bar, but some others are like, kill 10 or 15 of these enemies, or light this many beacons. Rather simple.
Okay, no, World of Warcraft World Quest, like I understand like the interest in World Quests, but that's pretty much Fates. Because some Fates are, gather some of this stuff, kill this specific boss, save or escort a certain person from here to there. It's like the same as World Quest, only the World Quests in World of Warcraft are very fucking tedious because they're technically forced on you. Because you need to grind reputation, you're forced. You are forced to do that. And some of those world quests are kind of fucking annoying. Why didn't you dance and emote in front of this imp for about 5 minutes? Why didn't you solve this fucking bejeweled fucking puzzle? God, I fucking hated so many world quests. But like, World of Warcraft also forces the fuck out of you to do those world quests. If you want rewards. Ask anyone who plays World of Warcraft. Once they don't need world quests, ask them if they're still doing them. If there wasn't no specific like reward at the end, they wouldn't be doing it. Nobody does world quests for fun. I promise you that. They need the mount, they either need some currency, they need reputation, or they're grinding the fucking legendary weapon and legion, or literally anything else. Maybe they need some gear pieces for their, low level alts. Those sometimes are dropped because it kind of scales with your level. But like nobody does those for fun. Like people will do time walking for fun. I can see the fucking quests on your screen. People will do that for fun, but they will not do world quests for fun. This is not as good of a point as you think.
stuff, basic MMO quest design. But when it comes to this type of content in particular, in my opinion, I tend to lean on the idea that even small things and small differences and small variations can go a long way. Sure, if you're pumping in like 10 hours a day, 7 days a week into the game, pretty much everything outside of like high-end content, and I mean the highest of high-end content, is going to feel rather stagnant and just bland. But that's simply not where most people or most players are at. And the rewards for world quests, again, could be better in World of Warcraft, but I think they're a heck of a lot better than just acquiring this singular resource from fates that you do in Final Fantasy XIV. If I'm particularly starving for value.
So the problem isn't the content, it's the rewards. Am I getting this right? We don't want the system in 14. I promise you that. Like, people have talked about this, especially the refugees, when the whole, fucking exodus happened during Shadowlands. It's like, people were fucking tired of being forced to do world quests. Not everyone wants to do them. People can do fates for farming. Maybe they'll do it for materia farming. Maybe they'll do it for the fun rewards that we also get. We get mounts, we get sets. The nuts can buy a lot of rewards from multitude of expansions. Someone might be doing hunts specifically in one expansion, and they can get rewards from older ones. Not all of them, mind you, but like they're kind of set on setting up nuts as like a more universal currency right now. Honestly, it might be just a matter of perspective, but I kind of prefer the 14 system here. Like, I did not like I farmed the fuck out of Legion, World Quest, I farmed the fuck out of BFA, I've done Shadowlands, I've done Dragonflight. Honestly, I got so fucking tired. After 3 fucking expansions, the moment I went to Dragonflight and I had to do fucking World Quest, fuck, even if we could glide at the very start of the expansion, I did not want to fucking do them. I did not want to fucking do them. I was so tired of these fucking menial fucking tasks. And in Dragonflight, they were even more annoying. Why don't you take a picture this time? Escort, why don't you fight? It's like same fucking shit. In 14, it's at least like it's less tedious. I understand it's like it's gonna be monotone, but it's like it's gonna be less tedious in 14. You're not gonna feel forced to do them unless you need specific rewards. That's it. I actually like that all of the fates pay out the same currency. Yeah, same. It makes it so that if your friend needs all areas, you aren't being punished because you got all the items in one expansion. Yeah. Fates are also nice because you can do them while in queue. Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. Some of the world quests in World of Warcraft will require you to do specific shit that might, stop you from queuing in. Like in Legion, fuck, everyone hated the mage puzzles where you had to like glide and jump for these like little hoops. This was like before flying was invented. It was unlocked, and flying was also very tedious to fucking unlock that game. You need a reputation for the fucking flying, so people were doing world quests for flying.
Stones or residence crystals, I can hunt down specific quests that allow me to accrue more of them. If I'm into pet battles, I can go across not just the new zones, but also the older zones, find the battle pet world quest, and do those for the rewards that I specifically want. Whether or not I want more.
Had a real question. People talk about pet battles like it's actually a mainstream type of content. They even tried to make a pet battle dungeon in Legion. They made one. They never made another one again. For a good fucking reason. I want you to understand. For a good fucking reason. People did not want to do that. People did not want to do pet battles. Pet battles, like, they're fun to do for fun. While you're waiting for raid to gather, you and your buddies are just fighting your little minions. It's kind of fun. But no one actively does pet battles. Collect pets, sure, for achievements. Why not? But pet battles specifically, like, it's not a fun activity as you make it out to be. The reason I'm being so picky is because he, like, nitpicked a lot of unnecessary and just like uncompelling shit at the very start of the video. So I'm just kind of like, I'm very confused. Like, like a lot of these, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just such a jaded fucking MMO player. God knows, I fucking found a gray hair on my head today. A lot of these are just like such far reaches just to get a point. I don't know if it's just me, but it's like he's reaching very far for this.
Advantages or like XP items or tokens, whatever. I can pick and choose what I want to tackle. And a lot of modern World of Warcraft.
Oh, that's not exactly true. There's random shit on the map, and you either need to fly all the way to Narnia just to get the specific reward, if we're specifically using that as a point, right? If we're specifically sticking to the point that you can get specific rewards, that's not exactly true, is it? All rewards on the map are going to be randomized. They're going to be adjusted to your item level, sure, but more or less they're all going to be randomized. If you want, for example, specific pieces of gear, like in Dragonflight, I made a new alt, and I could glide around and get those pieces of gear from these world quests, right? Neat, cool. Fucking have to fly all the way to Brazil to get the next piece. Not as easy to get them. It's kind of like very, very forced, if anything. It's like, I'm still like confused about the whole point about the content he's talking about. I'm guessing he specifically means like the world content. I mean, like the closest to this is Bajia and Eureka. And soon like the new, like the new zone, Mirage Island or whatever the fuck it's called. There's a reason that kind of content is put in there and not openly put into world maps. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't fucking want that content. There's a reason that content didn't come over from World of Warcraft into 14. There's a reason we don't have trash packs in our raids since Coils.
Craft design leans into that idea. You can pick and choose what you really want to engage in. If you're not trying to absolutely min-max it, like you're not like a race to world first raider or something like that.
We get it, you're a casual player. Let's stop comparing this. Like, this video should be specifically about casual and mid-core content. I understand that this dude doesn't raid. I understand that he's not a prolific fucking raider. He's not in Party Fighter like I am right now, right? I understand that. But this is fun unless you're a fucking world first raider. Unless you do the fuck out of this. If you do too much of this, you're not gonna like this content. So I don't understand this point.
Or you're somebody in Final Fantasy XIV that doesn't have a red dot in the middle of the screen. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not at that upper echelon of skill and difficult encounter engagement, having a variety of things to do can be beneficial and is able to bolster content that for most people is rather brain dead. But by simply giving players the option of saying, hey, you want to go engage with this system, you're free to, but you don't have to. And you're not going to feel as if you're missing out on a lot. That's the thing when it comes to like World of Warcraft. If you don't really particularly care about world quests and all that, you don't have to do like any of them, really, unless you want to farm renown, which is just a reputation system in World of Warcraft for largely cosmetic rewards, but you can get...
No, not true. Not true. I don't know if it's like, if they changed anything, but I'm not sure if they changed it in Dragonflight. I'll be honest. I don't remember if they changed it. But from Legion, Dawntrail, BFA, Shadowlands, you had to grind reputation to unlock fucking dungeons. Fucking dungeons. I was so demotivated to grind reputation in BFA. People were surprised that I didn't unlock King's Rest half a year into the expansion. I fucking hated it. Also, the story is reputation locked. That's one of the reasons a lot of people quit in the first 4 weeks of Shadowlands. Because reputation locked story, are you out of your fucking mind? I have to go grind little fucking world quests just to continue with the fucking story? Maybe he specifically started playing World of Warcraft recently. I don't know. But, like... To be fair, like, I didn't play the current expansion because my heart died in Dragonflight. I was so fucking bored doing World Quest in Dragonflight, I just kind of gave up midway through it. After the first raid, I kind of gave up on the game. Maybe he's playing the current version and there's something that I don't know, but it's like, I don't remember the game being this fucking casual friendly like he's describing it. If anything, there's like so many videos about people specifically talking how casual and new player unfriendly this game is.
Some decent pieces of gear for like fresh alts, but there's still other catch-up mechanisms in World of Warcraft, so again, you don't really need to interface with the system. But if the mood ever strikes your fancy, it is available.
Yeah, they kind of need those systems. They're not like in 14, everything's unlocked because you went through the story and you have all jobs accessible to you. Like, like, I want you to understand, like, he is saying this right now, yeah. Here in the Lord's year of fucking 2025, this is kind of an acceptable video. If this video was made a year ago, or a year and a half ago, I would literally tell them to fuck off. Because I've heard good things. Like, I'll be honest. I heard very good things about the current expansion of World of Warcraft. I've heard very good things. But it was so fucking unfriendly. People had to regrind reputations on other characters. Only in the late tail end of Legion was flying unlocked for all characters. At first, it wasn't like that. Your other characters couldn't fly. And it was like such a pain in the ass to unlock flying, too. It's like, it was very unfriendly to alts. Like, later on through the expansion, they would unlock certain systems that alts can kind of do to kind of grind item level and reputation a bit faster. Just a bit. There were like, people would buy scrolls that would increase reputation gain by 10%. Also, you had to play a human. Then you had to spend money to race change. It's like, the way he's describing it, he's either actually a closet hardcore raider and he enjoys this kind of fucking grind, or like, either he does not understand what he's talking about and he's just word padding, or something has fucking gradually changed specifically in the current expansion of World of Warcraft, which is like, what is it called? One of the fucking 3 expansions they announced in the last BlizzCon, the first one, right? The one with the spiders and shit. Like, if something specifically happened in this expansion and people are actually, and half of what he's saying is actually applies to this, like, sure, fucking kudos. I'm happy the game is actually doing this. But for the past fucking 7 to 6, since Pandaria, none of the stuff he's talking about would be enjoyable. Hell, fucking people in Pandaria, during Pandaria, fucking hated World Quest. The reputation Christ. There were so many reputations to grind out, it was a nightmare. Fuck me, I hate mana pearls in BFA. All my homies hate mana pearls in BFA. Fuck me, I was like, if there was ever a moment I was really turning into a very toxic person and wanted to throw slurs at people, it was fucking BFA and farming fucking mana pearls. through reputation grinds. I couldn't even have enough mana pearls because I had to grind reputation to unlock the possibility to have more mana pearls in my inventory. Fuck me.
Is available to you. Having content that exists in that realm is something that
And just to clarify, that wasn't hardcore fucking content. I mean, I needed that shit specifically for gear and to fucking go through the story. BFA was so shit.
Warcraft 4 recently. There's multiple ways to progress my character. And I think Final Fantasy XIV is trying to go in that way, but I don't think it's doing it in the best way. For instance, in World of Warcraft, there's like 4 main real endgame pillars. You have high-end PvP, we don't need to talk about that. You have raiding, Mythic Plus, which is a dungeon system in World of Warcraft that gets exponentially harder the higher level you go for, and introduced with the latest expansion, The War Within, you have delves, which are smaller scale. Kind of think of them like smaller scale dungeons. You can run them with a couple of people if you so wish.
It's specifically trust-orientated content. It's basically what we have, only it got trust this time. You can do it with people, you can do it alone, or you can do it with trust. You can have little funny NPCs walking about with you into those dungeons. It's not that of an exciting concept as you think. It's a small dungeon. I understand like how exciting it can be. Some people are having fun, and you can gear up very well through it. I understand. They actually did this content very well. But it's not that impressive of a fucking content. It is just trust with extra steps.
But I run them solo, and you get an NPC companion to party up with, named Bran Bronzebeard. If you're familiar with World of Warcraft characters, you may know that guy. You can customize him to some degree. You can choose whether or not he's a healer or a DPS, and in the next patch, you can actually choose if he wants to be a tank or not. And then you can customize like 2 trinkets or like abilities that he can bring to the table. Nothing particularly in-depth, but serviceable for what this content is. Delves also exist on a spectrum. They go from rank 1 to like rank question mark. I'm not joking, but that's for like a specific one-off boss fight. And they're like small little dungeons. Most of the time they have a bit of a gimmick to them, like you're in a really dark location and the darkness hurts you because it's dark, right? So you can have this candle and you can replenish this candle at certain checkpoints, but the more you move, the more you waste of that candle. And there's a good amount of delves. There's like 8 of them, I believe, with a bonus one on top of that, which is just a one-off boss fight. But each delve has multiple different variations that change up the objective or what you're doing in those delves. Again, variation is the spice of life here. And within like a month and a half, we'll have 11.1, the next patch of World of Warcraft, where they will be adding even more delves on top of that. I think it's like 2, but they're also adding new variations to the existing delves, at least most of them. And you may be going, well, J-Malls, what if I'm a high-end...
We've had variations in dungeons before. Like, this is a very old system. Like, even in Legion, like, people would do Mythic Plus, and there was variations in there. At some point, there would be, like, an entire pack of mobs killed by a secret boss that appears out of nowhere. In Blackrock Hold, if anyone remembers, after, like, the second-to-last boss. I don't know, Chad. It's like, are any of you impressed by what he's like selling here, specifically in World of Warcraft? Because he like just down talked 14 out the wazoo for like the most menial shit, but he keeps selling something that's like, we have a version of this already in the game. I'm pretty sure delves specifically came from like being inspired by 14 specifically.
Mythic Raider or my high-end Mythic Pluser. What if delves just simply don't appeal to me? Do I still have to run them if I want all my rewards? Well, if you want to be an absolute min-max, then technically you should to fill out your Great Vault, but
you kind of need to because delves are also world quests. Same like some of the dungeons.
You largely don't have to. And if you're wondering what the Great Vault is, by the way, it pretty much just guarantees you a piece of good loot at the end of the week or the start of each reset based on what activities you've done the previous week. So doing more content doesn't get you more loot, it gets you more options that you can pick from. But like that's the thing I've noticed with the gameplay flow of World of Warcraft recently, and this started in Dragonflight, where they completely upended the game's design philosophy. And they've continued it here. That's the thing I've noticed with the gameplay flow of World of Warcraft recently, and this started in Dragonflight, where they completely upended the game's design philosophy. And
what is the design philosophy?
they've continued it here with The War Within. Have this foundation and build from it. And
War Within, that's what the expansion is called. God, I forgot about it.
Before I made this video, I was thinking that a point I wanted to make is that in World of Warcraft, I felt as if I got all the expansion's content, like within the first month at least, because World of Warcraft still has an issue where they time gate some stuff. And then the patches just building on top of that, but then I'm realizing, compared to Final Fantasy XIV, where we are still waiting for advertised features of Dawnshell to come out months after the expansion came out, and we're still gonna have to wait months and months for things like the new boss, or things like Cosmic Exploration, or the new Deep Dungeon, or the new Criterion Dungeon, or Beastmaster, which is gonna be closer to the release of the next expansion than right now, compared to World of Warcraft, where The War Within came out with delves. And I was going to make this point that in World of Warcraft,
I do agree on this point. This is a point I fucking make so often, but it's essentially it's not a comparison between games. It's just 14 for some reason being really fucking shit right now. For some reason, in like the next patch is coming out in like It's going to be like, if I remember the math correctly, it was like a good 9 to 10 months into the expansion. If my math is correct, like the patch is going to be like on the 21st of March, and Savage coming out like 2 weeks after. Assuming with some of the other content, because people will want to do the story first. I don't know what's up with 14 this expansion, but it's like so much content is just like being just held back for no reason. Like we did have a lot of promises, but it's like if they somehow still plan to release a lot of fucking content, either the expansion is going to be 3 years now, or they're gonna release a lot of fucking content between 6.2 and 6.4, right? Chances are we're getting the craft, the new firmament, we're getting the new exploration zone. We're like we still might get Criterion. We're getting another ultimate. We're getting Savage alliance rates. If we get a deep dungeon, that's also great. It's like if they release a lot of this fucking content, it's gonna be fucking phenomenal. It's gonna be amazing. But for some reason, the first 8 months we got basically nothing. Just some Savage, some extremes, and a chaotic dungeon. Not a lot, honestly, for a 8 month kind of time span. The little bits of dungeons and like story, that's great and all, but it's not content, because even like the slow readers can get that done in like a day. That's not that's like something you can whip out in a day. It's not worth waiting for like months on end.
That in World of Warcraft, it feels like the expansion launched with all of its features compared to what Final Fantasy XIV.
Okay, that is a very recent addition though. World of Warcraft is releasing a lot of the more mainstream features, especially now that they're adding gliding instead of making us attuned for flying. Flying attunement before literally took you months. That is not a joke. That is a mid-max version of flying, of you optimizing fucking everything, reputation grind, quests, and everything would take months. It's good that they improved on it, but at the end of the day, it's still like they've had the systems for a while. They just work. We just have different systems in 14. But the issue isn't like the type of content, it's just the fact that World of Warcraft did release everything from the start, and I've been bitching about wanting more content from the start. One raid tier is just not enough for so fucking long, all the way until Chaotic came out. It's just not enough. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Do the extremes for another 99 times?
Does, because this is like standard.
But keep in mind, I don't know why he's bringing this up, essentially, because this still goes back to the point of comparing specifically all the content in general. Meanwhile, still he's trying to kind of prove a point in terms of casual slash mid-core content. This is still very confusing to me. He has a point. It's put in a very weird position right now.
Ended practice for Final Fantasy XIV, where most of the time for all the expansion features you have to wait months and months down the line, and it can make.
That's not exactly true. We had a lot more content in Endwalker. Hell, fucking in Shadowbringers even. We had a lot more content at the start of the expansion. It's just Dawntrail for some reason decided to be boring as shit. I don't know why. Like we already had an island by this point. Like we already had an island by 7.5. Sorry, 7.15. Like instead of chaotic, we got an island. But, like we already had other fucking content. By that point we were already looking towards Criterion. Actually, yeah, the first Criterion was also out with the island, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyone in the comments can feel free to correct me. But like we had a lot more content in Endwalker by this point specifically.
Make the beginning of an expansion feel rather lackluster outside of the story, unless you're a high-end raider. But then I realized, oh yeah, we have the roadmap for 2025 of World of Warcraft, and there's still new features coming down the line. Or
This is not as impressive as you think. This is not as impressive as you think. Wait, hold on. What do you mean new features? New zone? New world events, which is just new world bosses, new dungeons, new raids? That's same shit as us. Story quests? Cool. That's not a fucking feature. War bands? Cool. Extra levels? Brewfest? Yo, the seasonal event is gonna be updated. Expansion reveal? Cool. You also need to remember, it's like, they do release a lot more content in World of Warcraft, but they usually have 3 major patches. 3. Historically, in most cases. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's micro updates in between, with just a bit of like story here and there. But majority of World of Warcraft expansions are 11.0, 11.1, 11.2, and 11.3. Those are all the major patches. You see a lot of stuff here, but World of Warcraft does have a bit more content, but it's also a bit more sparse. It's not as condensed as some of the major patches in 14.
Or bringing back old ones. There was a system from a previous expansion of World of Warcraft called Battle for Azeroth, and this system was called Horrific Visions. They are one of my favorite pieces of content that World of Warcraft has ever made, and one of the first things I covered on this channel back in the day. They're bringing them back.
But why do you like them? I didn't like it. I get it, like, as a world event, it was kind of sick. It was actually kind of fucking gas. But the gear you would get, it was, I'm going to be honest, was kind of shit.
in I think 11.15, and it's kind of like a roguelike.
It was also like Omega grindy. You had to grind it for the rewards. I'm not entirely sure why. Like, I would like to hear the specific arguments why he enjoyed this content.
Mode. Not like Torghast, that one sucked. Or they're bringing back events like Plunderstorm, which is like World of Warcraft Battle Royale, and I'm not joking about that. I didn't catch it the first go around because I wasn't playing World of Warcraft. I only came back to
Plunderstorm is actually Omega fun. Plunderstorm surprisingly is like super fun. If you don't want to play World of Warcraft or Classic, whenever Plunderstorm is around, honestly, it's worth like a monthly sub. It's worth playing it. Like, genuinely, I enjoyed it.
I only came back to the game back in November, but they're bringing the event back like next week. And I think the difference between Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft in this regard is that World of Warcraft ships an expansion feeling feature complete, despite some things being,
Thunderstorm is not an expansion feature. Like, let's not put this on as an expansion feature. It's a separate game mode. It is like Classic. It is literally a separate game mode. It doesn't play a role for retail. It is not a feature of an expansion. Let's not put it there. Some people will literally play just Thunderstorm instead of playing retail or Classic. It is a separate. It can be considered a separate game. Let's not put it there.
Time gated, which is annoying. So
because, like, in same logic, they also made Heroes of the Storm, but all the wacky World of Warcraft characters in there as well. That shit failed. Did they even update that shit? Hold on. What's the news? Heroes of the Storm. Latest. 26th of September. PTR patch notes. Did this patch ever go live? Live patch notes. PTR. Patch notes. PTR. What? Log in and claim the Epic Arcane. Wait, even I have this. This was in 2022. Wait, hold on. What is the PTR? What are the PTR patch notes? Hero balancing. It's just a bit of balancing. It's like League of Legends level of balancing, just without new patches, is it? Yeah, it's just patches. This is what they've been doing for years. Like, let's not pretend that everything that comes out of their fucking projects is actually good. Plunderstorm is either we count everything together, or we count Plunderstorm as a separate game. It just has the same asset. It's the same thing as comparing like League of Legends to TFT. Technically the same client, technically the same game. Technically, TFT came from League of Legends, but separate game modes, separate tournaments. Some people only play TFT.
Things we get later down the line feel additive, like bringing back Plunderstorm or bringing back Horrific Visions. It either feels like a cool event or bringing back something cool, and that's additive to the overall experience, something to look forward to, as opposed to Final Fantasy XIV, where it feels as if big, key, signature features for the expansion on shipped day one and are shipped way, way, way down the line, so it doesn't feel feature complete, and I feel as if I have to wait for the full experience. It doesn't feel additive, it feels broken apart, and that perception
Thunderstorm came out just a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure what he's talking about, as if Thunderstorm came out with the expansion. Like, the only problem, like, specifically, the only thing I'm hearing is that him bitching about the same thing I am, that 14 had fucking nothing to offer for the first 8 months of the game, of the new expansion. Especially in comparison to previous expansion. We did get more fucking content. Whoever in my comments is about to bitch, just go, like, if I did the fucking research on the Lodestone page, you can do it as well. Shut the fuck up with your writing degree. You know who you are. If I did the research, you can do it as well. We had more content in Endwalker and Shadowbringers and Stormblood in the first 8 months of the expansion in comparison to Dawntrail. Double check that shit. Call me out if I'm wrong, but we're basically bitching about the same thing. The only difference here is that somehow he's doing mental gymnastics about how he's not talking about rating content or anything else. But like a lot of the stuff people do in World of Warcraft is specifically for rating and high-end content. It's not really a game for casuals. It's not exactly a game you can play casually unless you're a role player. Then you honestly aren't doing anything in that game. Then hold on, time to chaotic. Oh, it just straight up fucking got disbanded. Cool, neato. All right, fuck it. Let's finish watching the video. Yeah. Ah! Stop it! Stop it! Stop! Stinky. Right, let's continue this weird take.
Is king in my opinion.
Hold on, let me scroll back
where
a couple
it feels
seconds.
as if big key signature features for the expansion on shipped day one and are shipped way, way, way down the line.
Okay, yeah, so we're back to the argument that Dawntrail's there empty.
I have to wait for the full experience. It doesn't feel additive. It feels broken apart, and that perception is king in my.
Like, all MMOs will feel broken apart. That's why we got patches. That's why patches happen over a period of time. Or what did I miss? Nothing, honestly. Just a lot of bitching. Just a lot of nothing burger.
my opinion. And it's so important in terms of generating hype for a piece of content or annoyance until that content ships. And they just wrapped up the 20th anniversary event for World of Warcraft, which gave you a bunch of XP and reputation bonuses, and I felt incentivized to level up a bunch of alts by running older dungeons called time walking dungeons and getting levels super fast. It was
So we get anniversary events as well. Or only ours are a bit less grindy. You get bonuses to what you're already grinding. I mean, I guess it's like it's something for people to do, especially if you want alts. But it's like, what if you're not an altaholic? What if you're like, what if you're like me? You just play druid. What if you don't have alts? What if you're already capped out? These rewards mean nothing to me. Just because the game is designed to grind doesn't mean it's supposed to be content to keep grinding, even as an anniversary reward. Like the best anniversary event was just us going through some time walking raids and getting that Deathwing mount. That was sick. That was kind of cool. It was a buggy event, I remember, but that was kind of sick. We had to kill like a world boss outside too. But like, honestly, this is not really anything. It's not really. It's a very hard, difficult sell you're doing here. Honestly, look at all these bonuses you can get for your grinds. Oh dear, are we back on the World of Warcraft versus XAV app? It's the video. The point of the video is like, what can 14 learn from World of Warcraft? But at the moment, it's like I'm not hearing a lot of coherent argument. It's kind of a lot of yapping about nothing, because he kind of just downplayed the state of 14, and then he just kind of upplayed very tedious points of World of Warcraft. It's like I don't know. It's like if I feel like he's just doing a stretch, like a very far stretch right now in terms of like what can 14 learn from World of Warcraft. There are points that I agree with him on, right? I agree that the first 8 months of 14 have been fucking boring. There's been nothing to do, right? I agree, but the content he's comparing is like I don't know. It's like it's a weird like he immediately like he just didn't need to preface that it's like it's non-rating content. It's not for the world first racers or whatever. It's not rating content. It's not hardcore content. But then he's literally trying to sell all the content that's specifically there for grinding, either for world first rating racing or what we have already. We also grind reputation, don't we? We got the Allied Society or Beast Tribe or whatever the fuck they're calling it. This expansion. It's like I'm not sure what these comparisons are. It's just like kind of a nothing burger so far, and I'm getting more and more confused.
was a great way to incentivize alt play and alt leveling, all while acquiring a bunch of cool rewards, like redesigned tier sets from back in Classic. Tier
What do you mean redesign? Are they just higher fidelity?
2. I got all of them, on top of new mounts, on top of new battle pets, new transmog, new...
Okay, let's not go that far about like new mounts. Are they actually new mounts, or are they just the same mount from a different expansion, just different color? Because World of Warcraft pads their fucking reward system out the fucking wazoo. You want multiple rewards? Okay, it's just one reward but different fucking colors. Do you know how many colors of the same fucking worm or drake there are? God knows, like, go grind out all the fucking cloud drakes in Pandaria. Holy shit, there's so many colors. And they're everywhere. Timeless Isle, in the middle of the, fucking... yeah, there's a dark one in the middle of Timeless Isle that you have to fucking grind and not realm hop, yeah, kind of realm hop, like a layer hop, just to get more chances, because that shit spawns like every few hours. What else? It's like there's like so many of the same color. It's like, don't tell me these are unique rewards. It's not that as special as you make it out to be. Also, what the fuck are you showing? I recognize this is time walking rewards. It's literally time walking rewards that you're showing right now. This is not nothing. I have all these rewards. At some point, all these rewards are going to be gotten. You're going to get nothing. Wait, why are you talking about alt leveling when that doesn't really apply to 14 in the same way anyway? I know, it's like, I brought this up earlier. It's like, he did bring this up as an argument that you can level up all your alts. Yeah, but we don't fucking have alts per se in 14. Some people do have alts for either raiding or to hang out with friends on different servers, on the different data centers to be specific, right? That I understand. But in World of Warcraft, if you are bored of your class, you have fun leveling. We don't need an alt job for every job. Yeah, exactly. We don't need this. If you need alts, you're probably a raider. Or you just want to play something else. But if you're a casual player with these casual rewards that he keeps kind of insisting on, he kind of says that they're casual, but then he keeps going towards like the more non-casual side of event. I don't know what the fuck the point is anymore.
toys, got new titles as well. There's a whole event about the secrets of Azeroth, where the game provides you a bunch of riddles and you have to like break it down and solve the mystery, or just go to Wowhead like I did and just like plug in the coordinates and go there. But
You're not selling the point if you're going to say you went to WoW. you're you're not really selling the point if you just went and not use. Okay, I'm not going to judge him, but it's like it's not really a good sell if you're literally talking about how good this event is and how what fun activities you can do that you can just not do because he doesn't want to do them. I don't know. I have an alt on Crystal that I never used on file for that reason, but not because I need it. I got some alts, but again, they're for rating. I have like a level 1 alt on the US servers that I want to level up. Just because I want to raid during at midnight when nobody's online. So I can just raid in a different time zone.
But again, that goes back to what I'm talking about, where World of Warcraft provides you a bunch of options in terms of what you.
You're also kind of pretending like we don't have any events. We literally get like at least one event per month. And that's not counting the collabs. We sometimes get weird fucking collabs with weird fucking rewards, but like, why are we pretending like we don't have similar shit in our game? This is just like a very far-fetched way of saying I like this more than what I have over there. Cool. You're just kind of trying to stretch a point that's not. I don't know. And like I'm getting more and more confused. Maybe I'm just very fucking jaded and an angry person in general. But like I'm not buying this anymore. Like the amount of yapping he's done for like 12 minutes is just I'm not buying it anymore. He's just like a very far stretch. I don't know. Maybe he's farming ad revenue at this point. I don't know.
You want to do, and you can pick and choose to tackle what you want to do, as opposed to Final Fantasy XIV, where it has that mindset. Like, don't get me wrong, you can choose to go do your crafting and gathering if you want to. You can choose to go fate grind if you want. You can choose to go hunt grind if you want. You can choose to grind extremes if you want.
Again, he's comparing these fucking things like world quest to whatever the fuck else. You can choose to do this, or you don't have to choose this. Only in World of Warcraft, most choices will result specifically in gear for raiding. Those are the rewards. You're not exactly getting mounts. Like, you have a chance to get mounts, you have a chance to get pets, but most of the fucking activity you're gonna do specifically is stemming towards raiding. World of Warcraft, like, believe it or not, unless you're a role player, it's not a casual game. I'm sorry, it's just not. Like 90% of activity in that game is literally raiding. The other 10 are just people making their own fun. Somehow they make events. They do go play classic. They do something else. But 90%, if we're specifically talking about retail, it's fucking. It's just raiding. It's Mythic Plus. Even delves have higher difficulty. You can do those casually, but like the world quests still include doing a dungeon, doing a raid sometimes, even do a world boss, which are not fucking casual, not by a fucking long shot. That's why you gather like a group of 40 people. But it's like, I don't know, it's like like I don't want to call him a liar, but at this point he's just painting a picture that's just like so fucking incorrect on both sides. I know this because I spent like the good part of the last 14 years playing both games, like to an extent. Like I played very actively World of Warcraft since Mists of Pandaria all the way to like tail end of BFA. Then I played a bit in Shadowbringers, fucking hated it because it's practically the same shit, grinding world quest. Same shit I did in Dragonflight. Fuck me. I hated Dragonflight. Even if we got gliding early, I got so tired of farming world quest. I don't know what the fuck is happening right now in the current expansion of World of Warcraft, but his one argument is, we got nothing to do in the beginning of Dawn Trail. Meanwhile, World of Warcraft is kind of good. You can choose to do things. You can choose. Look at all these things you can choose from. Choose. Choose! Hashtag choose! I don't know. It's just a lot of yapping at this point. At this point, I'm just getting frustrated. I don't know. He's trying to paint a picture, but he's a shit artist at this point.
You can choose to grind the new chaotic 24-man raid if you want, but a lot of that content feels stale and recycled. It doesn't particularly feel fresh and new. And
What? What? The same thing. Whatever. I'm gonna be like repeating myself at this point. I'm just gonna be repeating myself. It's like if this is stale and new, it's like yeah. If you're gonna do something enough times, it's gonna be stale and new. But so it's time walking events that you showed on your screen. We saw it. I pointed it out. You do time walking event. You get your weekly bonus, and then you farm the fucking currency for the rewards. The rewards are, unless you're a high-end raider, are gonna be exciting for you. But most of the time, they're kind of mid, and they're always the same. You're always gonna be getting the same shit. Yes, I guess the delves change sometimes, but the dungeons have done that for a while. I don't know.
And this is my biggest concern when it comes to the content that is advertised for the future of Dawntrail, when it comes to things like the new Bonds we might be getting. Well, not might be getting. Or things like Cosmic Exploration. We've had pieces of content that are analogous to that before. Bosja. And also Ishgard Restoration. What happens if they just end up feeling like reskinned versions of those? Because
I'm gonna be real. I don't feel like you should be the one to kind of talk about these topics. Because like from the sound of it, it literally sounds like you're just tired of doing casual content. Which is like one of the issues in 14 is that there's not enough midcore content for both casuals and hardcore raiders to enjoy. It honestly just sounds like you're doing a lot of fucking casual content and you're just burned out because you don't want to do anything else. Like that's what it sounds to me. Because like I'm pretty sure you're not a crafter. I'm pretty sure you might enjoy the new exploration zone, but by golly, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna be the one in the savage raids with us. I'm pretty sure you're not gonna be part of the 48-man groups that are gonna be doing that as a raid. You just I don't know. Like the perspective, it's like when you all these content creators. Like I know this guy has played the game for a while. I know he's played it for a while. I've seen his videos before. I've watched his like experience to an extent. But like more and more, I'm listening to this. It just sounds like like new content creators who just like start grinding Final Fantasy 14 as much as possible and just trying to make content out of anything. But speaking with like absolute fucking inexperience. Like. I shouldn't be calling it. Fuck it. I'll call out. Like for example, we had some WoW refugees, right? Russ, FFXIV. We had some World of Warcraft refugees in 14, right? This is just Russ. Look at this. Every single little piece of content that he does, fucking monetized. I'm pretty sure like all his content is like miles behind where he is in the game because I've seen him do like more current content than what I'm seeing in the videos. My blind Thorin extreme strategy lead my team to their deaths. Cool, fucking exciting. I know you're fucking further than this. Cool, you're reacting to some 14 videos. And he just like has been grinding this for so long. I'm never leaving. He discovered Golden Saucer a year ago. A year ago. A fucking year ago. So exciting. And it's like, obviously, this is not the person I'm going to be taking advice if I ever need to like look up guides for 14. Another person is Cyber. Cyber, to be fair, is faster, and he's been doing pretty fucking good. Oh, he has a 14 channel now. I know there's a World of Warcraft one as well. I guess he kind of moved. But, oh no, he kind of moved from here, didn't he? Because like, 1 year ago. 1 year ago. Okay, 11-day update, 14 schedule, Pandemonium is coming. Okay, at least he's in more current content. But like... Wait, hold on. Does he have a different channel? Because he did literally a similar thing, didn't he? Is he only doing 14 now? Hold on, that can't be right. I literally watched it. There you go, Cyber TV. Because I'm watching for Feral Guides, for fuck's sake. Yeah, there you go, Pandemonium. He still does 14 content on this channel. Only right now he's trying to kind of focus on the OnlyFans and the World of Warcraft stuff. Which is fair, but I still see 14 stuff. MSQ recap. Cool, neato. Every little bit of content just being fucking... like, every little bit of anything to do in 14 is just being turned into content. But like these people will talk about it like from their perspective, but their perspective is just inexperience. But they will make it sound like, this is a objective opinion and not just my inexperienced criticism. You know what I mean? Just to clarify, I like Cyber. Cyber is pretty cool. I've done some of his blind raids with him. He's really fun to do it. A bit slow sometimes to figure out mechanics. but I think Cyber is chill. I like him. All right, let's finish this fucking video.
I really liked Bosja when it came out. I grinded Bosja when Dawntrail first came out for Viper, because I wanted to level that up because I wanted to experience the main story as Viper. And it was boring. Why? Because I've done it before, and it was pretty much just a bunch of Fate grinding. And I think Fates are rather dull and uninteresting. Even if you just swap the name out, it's still the Fate mechanic. And I think critical engagements are cool, little one-off boss fights that can spawn in the world. If you do them enough times, though, again, they become bland and...
It's the same fucking argument he just keeps... If you do anything a lot of times, it gets boring. That's one of the reasons people just don't fucking like World Quest as much. Especially people who have done World Quest since fucking Legion. Or since Mists of Pandaria. Or since fucking Warlords of Draenor, actually. Yeah, since fucking Mists of Pandaria. Like, World Quests are so... No, actually, no, that's not true. Mists of Pandaria didn't have World Quests per se. They just had dailies, like, for specifically Reputation Grind. There was, like, so much Reputation Grind. But, actually, did they? I think Timeless Isles did. I don't remember anymore. But I know Draenor had... a lot of fucking World Quests, and by golly, fucking World Quest and Apex's crystals. Fucking hated it. That expansion was so shit if you were a casual player. If you were a raider, you fucking love it. Best expansion for you. But if you were anything below fucking high-end raider, even as a mid-core player, fuck you. You wanted to have fun? Thanks for your money, bitch. But like, he keeps saying the same stupid fucking argument. At this point, I'm just getting frustrated. I don't know why is he padding so much. Like, this video didn't need to be 22 fucking minutes.
And repetitious. And that's the problem with a lot of Final Fantasy XIV content I tend to find, is that there is a lot of content there, but no one particularly wants to engage with it because we've seen it done before.
That's just you. Have you joined any of the discords? Have you done Deliberum Regina? Like, not even Savage at this point. There are some farming groups. Very active ones. There's little discords of people gathering just to do them. Yeah, people don't exactly go back there because it's older content. You went to Shadowbringer's content in Dawn Trail and you're complaining that it's kind of empty because you went there to level as a Viper? Who the fuck do you think else went there? When it was current content, that shit was fun. Because you're just kind of just simplifying it as Fates. Fates didn't have fucking raid mechanics. Fates didn't have bonuses. If you did not get hit by any mechanic, you had a chance to actually be spawned into the 1v1 matches. Your performance during those Fates, and like those Fates were really fucking good. They really had like proper fucking raid mechanics. They were like little shorter raids that a lot of people could enjoy. Like you can call it like you can compare it to normal Fates where you just go kill 3 bears and bring 3 bear asses to whatever the fuck NPCs connected to the Fate. But it's like the ones in Budge are kind of sick. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about at this point. Have you fought the dinosaur that slams a fucking meteor? Have you fought the red chocobo? Have you done the red chocobo? No, you haven't. Otherwise, you wouldn't be comparing this. You just went there and just did some Fates as a Viper wanting to level. If that's the mindset you go in there, fuck me. But obviously, I'm talking about high-end content. But it's like, if you want casual content like this, it's gotta be just called Fate for you.
So many times, and it doesn't really change outside of a coat of paint. And I've talked about this before, for better or for worse, Final Fantasy XIV is predictable, and World of Warcraft, for better or for worse, can take a lot of risks. They can have their own
Yeah, but every time they take risks, it is a very high chance it's gonna be really fucking shit. Torghast. Everyone was excited for Torghast. At the very start, everyone was excited, except for people who were lacking behind. People who couldn't, cap out the 400 ashes in the first week. They were already behind because that shit is weekly capped. Like, they do bring out new content, which is neat. But every time, that content then just gets abandoned. Nobody goes back into BFA to do some exciting islands and warfronts. What the fuck you talking about? Nobody goes into dead empty fucking content from 2 expansions ago.
pros and cons, but if you go too far into one way of thinking, it can make you yearn for the other way of thinking a lot. And we'll get to that when we cover what I think World of Warcraft can learn from Final Fantasy XIV. But I think Final Fantasy XIV needs to just have more variety and things to do. I don't think it should just lift the World Quest system from World of Warcraft, entirely speaking, but I don't think Fates are a sustainable future to populate the world of Final Fantasy XIV. Maybe an expansion on the hunt system could go a long way, or
What is the hunt system? It's just... You just go kill some fucking Fates. You just go kill some specific monsters. Hunt trains are not content. It's just community events. I don't know why you want to expand on the hunt system. Hunt systems like are just extra experience for some people, and some rewards if you want to grind them out.
maybe we could look back on past pieces of content that Final Fantasy XIV used to really utilize, but has kind of gone by the wayside. Things like
what?
Leave Quest, even Guild
Leave quests. They're still around. No. Shut the no.
tests. You don't want to bring them back one for one as they used to be because of the reason they're not around anymore. But I think the world of Final Fantasy XIV just needs something. And I don't know if I would say crafting is necessarily a strength of World of Warcraft right now, because of how convoluted and complicated it is right now. But at least they tried to make professions interesting back.
Sorry. Hold on. Am I bugging? Am I tweaking? What the fuck is he? Is he actually saying World of Warcraft crafting is more interesting than the one in 14? Am I getting this right? I know they added like some quest lines and some convoluted shit back in like Dragonflight. But wait, what?
And guild tests. You don't want to bring them back one for one as they used to be because of the reason they're not around anymore. But I think the world of Final Fantasy XIV just needs something. And I don't know if I would say crafting is necessarily a strength of World of Warcraft right now, because of how convoluted and complicated it is right now. But at least they tried to make professions interesting back in Dragonflight.
But we have so much crafting content. There's so much, like, there's literally a separate storyline for each. What?
adding little sub-specs for each of them. I think stagnancy is a real big issue Final Fantasy XIV has right now.
Wait, hold on. Am I bugging? Did he say that crafting isn't as good in World of Warcraft, but at least they're trying to what? Crafting is more fun in 14. Unless you're lazy and you miss the old World of Warcraft crafting where you just click button and it crafts. I mean, good on you, but like, well, no. That you're wrong. You are wrong.
Now, because it does have a
We have literally entire crafting FCs. We have submarines and everything. We have whole crafting systems, whole crafting events, firmament and everything. Diadem. That shit happened before in Heaven Sword. Diadem came back. It wasn't just new content. Diadem came back. Obviously, it was combat content then, but it's like crafting content has been around. We got deliveries. We we got the leaves. Well, to be fair, leaves isn't exactly content, but it's like crafters have so much content, so much content. It's like I don't like they get allied race quest lines as well. They like crafters have so much content in comparison to World of Warcraft. What is this? I'm just no. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
lot of content, but I just don't really view it as content because we've done it so many times before. It's why every time I try and do my crafting and gathering jobs for Dawn Trail, I give up within a day because I'm like, dude, I've seen this before. I've done this before, multiple times before. I just can't be asked. And it can make the end game of
So wait, coming up to materials and just clicking on them on World of Warcraft is fun in terms of gathering. I In World of Warcraft, you practically just gather the ingredients, click button, and you like that's it. You don't need gear for it. Crafting is a lot more. I feel like he's just like a lazy macro crafter. Like, I just don't get it how you can actually make this compare. Like anyone in the comments, like, explain this to me. Maybe I'm jaded and fucking stupid, but like I'm not understanding this. I used to be the dedicated crafter in my guilds. I would be the alchemist and sometimes I would be the dedicated alchemist, or I would be the dedicated cook, depending on raids. Like I would be the person people would donate the pots to, so I can make like the big pot for like the big pot of alchemy for everyone. I would make alchemy trinkets and everything, but it's like I do what the fuck. Oh, whatever.
Final Fantasy XIV feel as
Like mind you, I don't craft as much in Final Fantasy 14, but it's like I've crafted enough to know that it's the system and the quest lines are a lot more fucking in depth than and fun than the ones in World of Warcraft. Like of all the stuff he could have talked about, why is this like I don't know? Maybe he's just clickbaiting at this point because like I don't understand. I think he's just rage baiting actually. Yeah, he's probably rage baiting because I don't understand.
as if it's just high-end rating when it's technically not. But Final Fantasy XIV just plays it far too safe, way too often. I think a good little
What do you mean? You need crafting materials. Go to do some maps. Oh, actually, good point. We got maps. There's your delves.
microcosm of this is reputation. How do you gain reputation in Final Fantasy XIV? Go to a place, bang out 3 dailies, GG. Every now and then you'll hit a breakthrough point, you'll do a quest, get 3 more dailies, rinse repeat. World of Warcraft, how do you get reputation, now known as renowned for a lot of them? Well, what do you want to do? You'll get weekly quests that might ask you to do a specific dungeon. You might get weekly quests that ask you to do certain activities in a zone.
And once those quests are done, they're done. You literally said they're weekly. Oh, he's stretching. He's stretching so far right now. He's stretching from Africa to Brazil right now. There's a bridge across the Atlantic right now with how far he's stretching.
For a particular faction, you can do quests or side quests.
By the way, particular faction. Like, we are done with our reputation grinds in weeks or months. Like, 2 months at most, right? I don't remember, like, how long it actually takes. And that's good. I don't want to be stuck on some of this content. But some of the content in World of Warcraft is literally gated behind reputation grind. You are forced to do world quests. You are forced to do them. You don't grind reputation as flexibly as you would, for example, in Wrath of the Lich King, where like doing anything on the map would probably just like give you a bit of reputation for certain factions. But like there's so many factions. It's not just, you know, one reputation. You need so much reputation. I don't know. It's like he's stretching very far.
It's not
Obviously you're gonna have a lot more options what to do to grind reputation in World of Warcraft, because you're gonna be grinding multiple reputation at the same time, and then they're gonna add even more reputation for you to grind, and possibly some annoying currency like the mana pearls.
not perfect, but again, it feels far more substantial than what Final Fantasy XIV provides. Whereas in World of Warcraft, it feels like something I'm progressing throughout the expansion, and gaining cool and interesting rewards like mounts and pets and transmog and stuff like that, even cool little toys.
But we get what? We also get mounts and glamour and He's rage baiting. He's rage. I refuse to believe that he's not rage baiting at this
You
point.
get some of that stuff in Final Fantasy XIV as well, but by nature of it just being 3 daily quests a day, it feels like a chore. Like, oh yeah, I gotta log in to do my quest again.
Sorry, what? You think this is a chore? Doing 3 small fucking quests on the map is a chore? In comparison, like, okay, fucking. World of Warcraft has been specifically forcing reputation grind as part of content. They literally locked story before behind reputation grinds. For one faction, mind you. You would choose one area to do, the story is locked behind reputation grind. You're stuck looking for specific world quests just to grind that reputation, and then when you continue the story in another part of the continent, like because they usually like branch them out into separate like quest lines, you get the same shit there. I don't know how it is right now in World of Warcraft, but it's like reputation grind has never been good in World of Warcraft. No one has ever been I've played the game for so long. I played with casuals, I've played with role players, I role played with a Bulgarian dude that pretended to be a Draenei girl. I played high end raid, I world raced. I wasn't good at it at world racing, but like I've cleared mythic and hero content actively. I've done charity runs as well, especially back in Legion. I would do charity runs to get people the bird for charity. Like I've done so much shit. I have never met a single person who was excited to grind some fucking reputation. Never.
Stuff like that, even cool little toys. You get some of that stuff in Final Fantasy XIV as well, but by nature of it just being 3 daily quests a day, it feels like a chore. Like, oh yeah, I gotta log in to do my quest again, that require not even 2 brain cells to accomplish. Whoopee. There is an easy argument I think a lot of people will make here, and that's class design. Now, I do think it is
What the fuck does class design have to do with this? What? He keeps stretching across the board. I thought he stretched from Africa to Brazil, and now he's like he went backwards across Asia, but he went to Australia. What the fuck?
It is hard to directly compare these two games because they do fundamentally different things with their combat systems. In Final Fantasy XIV, it's all about weaving in between your GCDs with your OGCDs and all that.
But and all that. Okay. Okay. I want to know what he thinks is happening in World of Warcraft.
You have that far longer GCD, which I don't think is a flaw with the game, but I think ever since I have
Oh, he hasn't played in BFA. In BFA, they increased the GCD duration. Everyone fucking hated it. Everyone fucking hated it. It is still technically kind of. It's not as long as the one in 14, but 14 can also be played on a controller. Controller players have a lot more fucking space to play with a fucking 2.5 GCD. But World of Warcraft, yeah, they're like okay.
have come back to World of Warcraft, I do just prefer class design in World of Warcraft as opposed to job design in Final Fantasy.
Like I'm looking at his screen, he's literally just rolling his GCDs, and then he would be pressing an OGCD in between. What is the fucking difference? Hold on, I'm looking at his bars right now.
Flaw with the game, but I think ever since I have come
Same
back
fucking
to World
clock,
of Warcraft,
you know?
I do
Look.
just prefer class design in World of Warcraft as opposed to job design in Final Fantasy XIV right now.
It's same
I
shit.
still really like tanks in Final Fantasy XIV. It's why I play tank.
Obviously, like the rotations are a bit more convoluted and more in depth in World of Warcraft. I'll give him that. But World of Warcraft is also constantly struggling with balancing. There will always be the flavor of the month, but you have to level up an old character with an old job, old class, if you want to be the flavor of the month. In World of Warcraft, if you are not the flavor of the month, nobody cares how good you are. You're not getting to my Mythic Plus group, no matter how high your Raider IO score is. I don't give a shit. You're not joining my raids. If you are a subpar fucking class of the month, people will literally call you a slur before kicking you out. Meanwhile, in 14, sure, our rotation is kind of boring. It is giga boring in comparison to World of Warcraft. But our balance fucking exists. Sure, we can bitch about semantics and, hindsight and all the little bits and bobs. But, like, we are as close to perfect balance as possible. Sure, physical range needs some fucking work, and Picto has been out of control for a while. But like, other than that, like the biggest grief of balancing we've had so far was back in Abyssos. Back in Abyssos, right? A lot of people had trouble with meeting the DPS check for EAS, right? People swapped Paladin for Gunbreaker or Dark Knight, and that increased a lot of damage. There was a 10% damage discrepancy between Paladin, which was the lowest DPS, and Dark Knight. When you think about it, right? A Dark Knight can do nothing for an entire minute in a 10-minute fight, and they will do the same damage as a Paladin, right? That sort of balancing is atrocious in Final Fantasy XIV. In World of Warcraft, that's just Tuesday. But sometimes the damage discrepancy is gonna be a good 40 fucking percent. Sometimes the damage difference and discrepancy is gonna be that your shaman healer is gonna do more damage than the rest of your fucking team in BFA. It was not a bug. It was specifically a balancing issue with some of the talents and some of the we would get this gear where you could rotate a little wheel for specific talents. You could pick like a little talent out of like 3 or 4, and a specific combination would just disbalance that. Healer, shaman, healer, not DPS. Healer shaman would do more damage than anyone else. Warrior, rogues, mages, fuck them. Somehow, shamans would just destroy all of them. That would be the flavor of the month. If you wanted to do at least more damage than what the fuck you do right now, you're gonna have to level a new class in all job. I'm glad you're excited for the Time Walking event. Time to grind the reputation again.
Now, but how fluid, how fast-paced, how satisfying pressing your buttons in WoW feels is hard to beat, and how responsive everything feels. I like how it's based on the animation, not waiting for the cast bar to go off and ignoring the animation that you have in Final Fantasy XIV. And I like the
I'll give him that, yeah. I like the more responsiveness of World of Warcraft. Like, snapshotting and slide casting should not be a fucking mechanic. It's a bug. It's clearly a bug in the game, but it's been in the game for so long, we kind of are used to it being a feature, you know, a way to play the game, slide casting. That's not a fucking feature. It's a bug. It's a server tick that we're working through. You know? Same with snapshots. Games should not be working like that, but we made it a mechanic. We made snapshotting a mechanic. We use it in defensives, in healing, in debuffing, in DPSing, dot appliance, ghosting buffs, etc. It's just like, it's a whole system for us, but I get it that once you play World of Warcraft for a bit, it's gonna feel a lot better. It's gonna be way more responsive.
The customization in World of Warcraft a bit more.
But again, in Final Fantasy XIV, we also have controller players. In Final Fantasy XIV, just because of how the game plays, a lot more players have an opportunity to get really cool rating and rewards. I have seen one-handed raiders become Penta Legends. I have seen people with all sorts of weird controllers. There was this one dude that made really weird controllers and he would clear fights. I have seen Ariza. I don't remember what the fuck he used. I think he used like a Wii remote or one of those like other controllers, and he cleared an ultimate with it. Because of those like little bits and bobs, people with slower reaction can clear content. People with like, you just need to practice certain bits and bobs, like specific aspects of the game, right? And controller players. Some people, like, for example, I wish I was a controller player, because god damn, my fucking arthritis is killing me sometimes. But, like, controller players, especially healers, can you imagine, like, going up and down the fucking list just to heal people while moving? It can be probably very frustrating for newer controller players, but it does give them an opportunity to be on the same playing field as anyone else. That is something I really like about 14, specifically how accessible it is. I like to consider myself a high-end raider, but it's like, I will still be on the same playing field as a more casual or a mid-core player, because they have the same opportunity to play just as well. Because, you know, me pressing my buttons faster is not going to be, you know, a big fucking challenge against them.
There are advantages to the limitations that Final Fantasy XIV imposes upon the player in that regard. Theoretically, it should be easier to balance, since you don't have as many factors. My counter-argument to that is, dude, it's really freaking cool in World of Warcraft to be able to spec my Unholy Death Knight into Rider of the Apocalypse, to where I can summon the 4 horsemen to fight alongside me in my army of undead.
Our summoners can summon a Bahamut. This is just roleplay, man. I don't know what this argument is.
Or on my warrior, I can spec into Mountain Thane and cause lightning bolts to come out of the freaking sky and incentivize me using Thunderclap more, or going over to Slayer and focusing more so in on...
Okay, talent traits, I get it. We don't have those. We stopped having those a while ago. But like, any complexity, people fucking hated it. Back in like, in Realm Reborn, in Heaven's Sword, we had these specific like cross-job abilities. Like, there were like specific like more in-depth systems to playing your class or your job, but people didn't like it, and for good fucking reasons. It was just tedious. Specifically in a game like Final Fantasy XIV. I get it, this is what you like, but this is what also destroys fucking balance. I get it. You like this, go ahead, play it, but it's like You're not selling me on roleplay right now.
Execute and Bladestorm, on my Evoker going for Scale Commander and just seeing Drakthir fly by and AC-130, the whatever I'm fighting. That stuff is cool. And like, yeah, it is a multiplayer game. It is an RPG. There will be nerds to math all of this stuff out, and there will be Abyss. That is still kind of on Blizzard to balance. But dude, I'm sorry, it's just cool, and it's a game. It should be fun. And I can't say I've enjoyed DPSing in Final Fantasy XIV ever since, like, what, Shadowbringers?
Motherfucker played Viper at the start of this expansion. Viper is boring as fuck.
There's been a couple of specs that I still...
Like, people literally come to Final Fantasy XIV with the novelty of playing Black Mage, because it's technically considered, like, the most difficult job and, like, the most DPS-y job. Well, used to. Right now, Pictus is out of fucking control. But, like, I've seen this dude only play Viper. Maybe he has footage of him playing another job, maybe a machinist or some shit. But it's like, the dude has not explored the game, but he fucking names 3 different classes in World of Warcraft.
Mostly like Dragoon or Red Mage. They just haven't gotten around to them in Dawn Shell because they can't be asked leveling alternate jobs and running through the same dungeons.
But you can't be arsed to level alts in World of Warcraft? Are you out of your fucking mind? You have other options to level the fuck... Oh, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking... Like, how are you leveling in World of Warcraft then? If not dungeons? What are you doing? Are you walking... Are you just... I don't know. Are you questing, I guess? How exciting.
Over and over and over again for each of the jobs. WoW is far from a perfect game and it has its own issues that we'll cover in that video when we get to it, but
I don't want to watch that. I wanted to watch that video because, like, I have both, like, a perspective of a World of Warcraft player and a Final Fantasy XIV player. But at this point, with this much word padding, it's like, I don't want to watch that. I'm not gonna watch that video. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the same. It's just gonna be just stringing along points that are just, like, so irrelevant or so far stretched from each other just to make a I don't know, like, this mental gymnastics imaginary point. It's like, I don't want to be mean to the guy. I don't want to like I wanted to see what what his opinion is, but he just keeps, like, trying to passive aggressively insult Final Fantasy XIV in favor of World of Warcraft, but he's doing it in such a far stretch way. It's like, I don't want to hate his content. I don't want to hate this dude. But so far, all he's talking about, and, like, as a veteran of both games, I'm just frustrated. I'm just not having a good time listening to any of this because, like, half of this is just it's not correct.
but I really do think it's onto something with its overall design philosophy. It doesn't
Again, he just words pad with design philosophy. What does that mean? What is the philosophy here? What is this particular philosophy? Can you put it into words? Otherwise, you're just saying shit.
nail the execution all the time, and
Grind is good. Grind is fine. That is the design philosophy in World of Warcraft. Go grind some reputation. Grind some currencies. Grind, grind, grind. Never stop grinding. Like, in Final Fantasy XIV, people will stop playing the game and then sub because there's nothing to do. In World of Warcraft, people will stop playing the game and then sub because they're sick of fucking grinding. That has been an issue for so fucking long. The only good expansion that had a really fun grind that people didn't mind was Legion. Draenor can suck my dick. Mists of Pandaria, not fucking fun. Raids were fucking amazing. Throne of Thunder was chef's kiss. BFA can fuck off. Shadowlands can eat my shit. All these grinds are not fun. People have been sick of grinds. And when in Shadowlands they said you need to grind reputation for a few days if you want to continue the fucking main fucking story of the game, people dropped. People, like, there's a reason Shadowlands is considered, like, the worst fucking game.
and trust me, there's
Sorry, the worst expansion.
plenty of videos online about how they've messed up Mythic Plus and what they need to do to save Mythic Plus. Or
Nobody cares about Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus players care about Mythic Plus. Everyone else does Mythic Plus for gear. Some people do like Mythic Plus. It's fun. People will do Mythic Plus because it's fun. But unless you're pushing for, like, good 25 keys, no one's really complaining about it.
delve rewards and stuff like that. But when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, I'm just waiting for them to do something interesting. Island Sanctuaries could have been then. I've talked about that multiple times, but at least for me it wasn't. Just kind of felt bland and rather boring. And there's a lot of, like, individual elements we could pick apart and really talk about, like gearing. I think the gearing in Final Fantasy XIV has its own pros and cons, like it does.
Okay, I don't want to do this, but, like, we may as well just figure this out on Dustry Dragoma. Like, we may as well get to the bottom of this. And Dustry Dragonar. Is that his? Oh, it looks like it. Okay, it looks like his character. Okay, okay. So he hasn't done Savage. Okay, I understand. Casual player, understandable. Obviously, he hasn't done Ultimates. Legacy Ultimates, he hasn't done. That's fine. Extreme Trials, hasn't done them. Unreal. At least he's done Unreal, like, once. That parsers don't matter. Chat. Nobody say shit about parsers. Doesn't matter. We're currently looking just activity in general. Parsers don't matter. 1 kill of Unreal. Neato. Chaotic. Okay. Dungeons. Neato. Alliance raid. I think this is what he farms the most. Okay, he's done it twice, which is where he got most of his fucking footage. I guess he did it like once as a Viper and once as a Paladin. No, both times as a Paladin. Okay, neato. As an argument, it's like maybe he doesn't log. It's it's chances are other people in his group have logs. Like especially in an alliance raid, who there's 3 fucking like parties. They all record logs for everyone. He's done the alliance raid twice, and he says that it's too grindy. What the fuck? Criterion Legacy. Okay, maybe let me check like Endwalker. Normal. You kind of just do the story. I'm guessing you record the footage. I'm guessing you have it. You started like midway through Endwalker. Fair assumption. You don't really do content, do you? Fucking Despairs all over again. Dungeons? Alliance raid? They basically kind of started playing recently. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. It's just kind of a new player in 14, and they're just kind of talking about it. Yeah, he's just kind of just... he did this, cool. Thrice. Have you done Deliberate Mergenite then? Actually, hold on. No, we're gonna ignore Deliberate Mergenite because this is technically counts as Savage, right? I'm gonna assume he didn't play in Shadowbringers. No, he has. So he did jack shit in Endwalker. Normal. Normal. Fuck's sake. Any extremes? Anything? Alliance raid? Okay, he does these a few times. So the man barely plays the fucking game. Like, we can be picky about types of content, but like from what I'm seeing, it's just like isn't just the usual slop content farming, giving your opinion on trending subjects, saying the same thing most people say without really adding anything. Pretty much, yeah. If you like, I was attracted to the Boston accent, but then like after a few videos, I realized he's just kind of word padding. He's just kind of talking about nothing. And now that I actually decided to like check his like how much content he actually does, like I'm kind of realizing why his like opinion is just so fucking. Oh, what's the word I'm looking at? He's like an old man that doesn't know about the hip shit that people do. So he's gone to Baja and just did some fates. No other content. He didn't do Deliberate Mergenite or the other one. I may as well finish this video, but it's like I'm not gonna watch his videos like on anything concerning like anything like particular anymore. Because like now I kind of understand that this is just fucking Zeppel all over again. Doesn't do content, but will always have a fucking opinion. Whatever.
Does in World of Warcraft. I do like having things like tier set bonuses, which is like if you have 2 pieces of this tier set, you get a specific bonus, and if you get 4 pieces of that tier set, you get the 2-piece bonus and the 4-piece bonus. You can upgrade pieces of loot to be even better.
You get that in Baja. You would know if you actually did it for longer than half an hour. Tier set bonuses don't always work out in terms of balancing, especially in anything other than content like Baja. This is why they bring out all these new support jobs specifically for the new exploration content. I'm not going to spoil 7.2. You can check out the patch notes, but Eureka, Baja, they always have these specific concepts, like all these consumables where people would just clear like the 1v1 fate bosses like in under like half a minute in Baja, because balancing just can be easily fucked like that. We had tier sets in Baja as well. I think we had that in Eureka as well. That's where they're going to bring out all these concepts that you are essentially talking about in World of Warcraft, but they just don't work outside of that kind of content in 14. You would know that if you played the fucking content.
Better by spending various resources you grind out in-game, as opposed to Final Fantasy XIV, where you know the looting system, acquire tomestones, trade them in, run your raids each week. It's simple, safe, predictable, kind of.
I agree that the looting system definitely needs a fucking upgrade in 14, but they actually started upgrading it. Chaotic Alliance raid came out, everyone's biz fucking changed. Well, most people. My biz changed on all of my jobs. I play physical range and healers, like all my biz changed. that was actually exciting. We have new gear now. It's not just tombstones and raid anymore. If Criterion comes out, we're also going to have the new tombstone weapon upgrades too. So there are actually some flexibility. I understand that World of Warcraft has all sorts of wacky trinkets and shit, but there's just a lot of them. Once you realize that a good 50% of those trinkets or any gear like that, or even tier set bonuses, they're essentially copy paste from previous expansions, just a bit adjusted for the current ones.
kind of like Final Fantasy XIV. And again, that has its pros and cons. And I don't think Final Fantasy XIV should abandon that philosophy wholesale. But it's like a spectrum, and I think if you go far too along one side of it,
This video is on a spectrum. Fuck's sake.
I don't think that's necessarily healthy. Final Fantasy XIV, I think at the end of the day, if we want to talk about like overall conclusions to draw, it needs to flesh out that non-rating content.
Like at the start of the video, I thought he was just kind of painting a bad picture of 14 maliciously, specifically for content, for slop. But now I'm actually believing that this is actually the way he sees the game. Because he just doesn't fucking experience the game in general. He just kind of logs in, records footage, and then records his opinion. Fuck me.
It needs to make the world feel like a living, breathing world to some degree, and I don't think that requires a wholesale change of things to do. Retool certain pieces of content that already exist to be more fun and interesting. Add far more variety to things like fates. Retool the reward structure for fates. Maybe have another look at things like leave quests that guild has. How can we bring these pieces of content that already exist in the game back into the modern day, change up the reward structure, and change up just a little bit how they actually operate to breathe new life into these zones?
Those changes happened for a reason. like I understand the opinion of I used to like that thing then, but then again, people have stopped doing certain types of content because people were just not enjoying it, or it was just too kind of meaningless and silly. There's a reason our airships are stuck at level 50. Meanwhile, submarines are still fucking getting level gains, right? Same with like Guildhast and other things. If you want to bring it back, have a specific idea and then voice it out. But just saying we should bring that back, but better. Okay, Your Majesty. Anything else you want? With some champagne?
To give me a reason to go back into these zones, so I'm not just waiting in queue in a major city or whatnot. Because the design for
Have you checked World of Warcraft streamers? If we're specifically talking about retail ones, all they do most of the stream are just hanging about in the main city hubs. Waiting either for Q to pop or for the party to gather. I don't. Okay.
philosophy that I love in World of Warcraft right now exists in Final Fantasy XIV, where you pick and choose what you want to do and what you want to prioritize, and you can choose to interact with systems at your own convenience. But you have to try to make them actually fun and interesting, or at least have some variety to them. That is when I think Final Fantasy XIV is at its best, when it has options, when it has multiple different things to do. You normally get there near the end of an expansion.
Honestly, all it sounds like you should just kind of just log off and come back in like 6.3, 6.4. You'll have plenty of shit to do. I understand it's currently boring as shit. It's like I'm not defending that part of Final Fantasy 14, but like you're currently just kind of bitching into an empty bucket for nothing. I don't know. It's like your complaints are very fucking empty right now and very bland. You're kind of trying to make a point, but you keep steering away from that point and complaining about nothing. I don't know. Like, this video did not need to be 22 minutes.
When all the pieces of content are online. But when they just feel like I've done this before, it leads to this present state where a lot of people feel as if there's just nothing to do outside of high-end rating. I don't think the solution is just to become World of Warcraft, but I think you can learn from World of Warcraft. And like I said, in a few
Again, if you haven't done anything besides, Alliance raids, it's like, have you tried exploring? Like, look all over the map, man. I know you're in Dawn Trail because I see the Alliance raid on screen, right? Look around. I feel like you still have some blue quests left. I feel like you haven't unlocked everything because from the way you talk about the game, I feel like you still have like a bunch of blue quests somewhere.
future video, we're going to talk about what World of Warcraft can learn from Final Fantasy XIV. And if you have any ideas what you think World of Warcraft could learn from Final Fantasy XIV about, or what Final Fantasy XIV can learn from World of Warcraft, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your perspectives. Or just, what would you do to improve the overall game state? What would you add? What would you change? And if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
I don't know. Like I usually like his videos, like to an extent, depending like what he's talking about, because he's usually like very charismatic and has a Boston accent. But like this video just kind of like put a sour taste in my mouth. Like anyone who doesn't like new players that come into 14 or just casual players will come in and just kind of listen to this and just possibly have a discussion over this. Maybe agree, maybe disagree. I don't know. But like for people who played the fucking game, once they realize that someone talking about the game actually doesn't have like a fucking idea about the content or doesn't even participate in the content of the game, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad you have an opinion, little bro, but you can just put the price in the bag. You don't need to tell me about your Yu-Gi-Oh collection. It's cool. I get it. There's a meta. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just sad now. But after watching that video, I'm just very, very sad. I had such high hopes for him too, and he just went the fucking weird Cole Evans Despairs route.